200 terawatt hours. That's how much electricity the world's data centers devoured in 2022, enough to power entire nations. And according to the International Energy Agency, that number is on track to more than double by 2026. To put it in even sharper focus, every single time you ask ChatGPT a question, you're burning roughly 10 times the electricity of an ordinary Google search. The artificial intelligence revolution isn't just running on code and silicon, it's running on raw power, staggering, grid-bending amounts of it. And the machines are getting hungrier. Picture a simple stick figure. Let's call him D, a hollow circle for a head, two dot eyes, a small curved smile, and thin black lines for a body. D does what billions of us now do every day. He wakes up, grabs his phone, and asks an AI assistant to summarize his emails, plan his budget, maybe generate a picture of a cat wearing a top hat. To D, each request feels weightless. A tap, a flicker, done. But somewhere, hundreds or thousands of miles away, that flicker lands inside a windowless building the size of several football fields, where racks of specialized chips heat up like industrial ovens. Cooling systems roar to life, transformers hum. Electricity, real physical electricity, generated by spinning turbines somewhere on the grid, flows in torrents. Goldman Sachs researchers put a number on D's casual habit. A single generative AI query consumes about 10 times the power of a traditional search. Multiply D by hundreds of millions of users, multiply each user by dozens of queries a day, and suddenly the waitlist becomes very, very heavy. This is the story of what happens when the digital world crashes into the physical one, and why the outcome will shape everything from your electric bill to the future of AI itself. To understand the appetite, you have to look under the hood. Traditional software is like a light switch. It does one narrow thing efficiently. Modern AI models are more like vast electrical storms. Training a large language model means pushing trillions of calculations through tens of thousands of graphics processors, running flat out for weeks or months. Those chips don't sip power, they gulp it. A single high-end AI chip can draw as much electricity as a household appliance running at full blast, and data centers pack them in by the tens of thousands. And here's the twist most people miss. Training is only Act 1. The real energy story is inference, the everyday act of answering queries. Every response the model generates requires it to fire billions of parameters, again and again, for every user, every time. Then there's the heat. All that computation converts electricity into thermal energy, so massive cooling systems, chillers, fans, in some cases liquid cooling loops, consume enormous power just to keep the silicon from cooking itself. The result is a new species of building, the AI data center, an energy carnivore that can demand as much electricity as a mid-sized city, concentrated on a single plot of land. Now zoom out from D's phone to the wires overhead. Power grids were designed for a slower world, demand that grew predictably, 1% or 2% a year, with decades to plan new plants and transmission lines. AI shattered that rhythm. Goldman Sachs estimates data center power demand will surge 160% by 2030, requiring roughly 47 gigawatts of new capacity in the United States alone. 47 gigawatts, enough to power tens of millions of homes, conjured out of thin air in just a few years. Utilities are feeling the strain right now. Dominion Energy in Virginia, home to the world's densest cluster of data centers, and Georgia Power have both warned that surging demand is stretching their grids to the limit. And here's the uncomfortable part. Some fossil fuel plants that were scheduled for retirement are being kept alive, their closure dates pushed back, simply because the grid can't afford to lose them. The Wall Street Journal put it bluntly, the AI boom is complicating America's climate goals. The machines we hoped might help solve the energy transition are, for the moment, making it harder. It's a genuine paradox. Innovation racing forward on infrastructure built for the past. If you want a preview of where this collides with real-world limits, look at Ireland. The country became a European data center hub. Favorable taxes, cool climate, fiber connectivity. Tech giants flocked in. Then the national grid operator, EirGrid, ran the numbers and delivered a jolt. Data centers could consume 32% of Ireland's entire electricity supply by 2031. One-third of a nation's power feeding servers. Planning authorities responded by effectively pausing new data center approvals in the Dublin area, one of the first times a government said, in effect, "No more, we physically cannot power this." Think about what that means for Dee and everyone like him. The limit on AI's growth may not be algorithms, chips, or even money. It may be megawatts. Similar tensions are surfacing from Virginia to Singapore to the Netherlands. Communities weighing jobs and investment against strained grids, rising rates, and water-hungry cooling systems. The Irish case matters because it reframes the entire AI conversation. This is no longer just a technology story. It's an infrastructure story, a land use story, an energy policy story. And when a resource becomes scarce, the race to secure it gets very interesting indeed. So what do you do when your business model needs a city's worth of electricity, around the clock, rain or shine? The tech giants have arrived at a striking answer: nuclear power. In 2024, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon all announced multi-billion-dollar nuclear agreements. Microsoft struck a deal tied to restarting a reactor at 3 Mile Island. Yes, that 3 Mile Island, a plant whose name once symbolized nuclear anxiety, now recast as a source of clean, reliable baseload power for AI. Google and Amazon went further into the future, backing small modular reactors, or SMRs, compact, factory-built reactors designed to be deployed faster and closer to where power is needed. The logic is cold and clear. Solar and wind are cheap but intermittent. AI data centers run 24 hours a day, every day. Nuclear delivers constant, carbon-free output, exactly the profile a data center craves. There's real nuance here worth holding on to. This could accelerate a nuclear renaissance that benefits the whole grid, funding technologies that were starved of investment for decades. But SMRs remain largely unproven at commercial scale, and most won't come online until the 2030s. The demand crunch is happening now. Nuclear is a serious bet, but it's a bet on the future, not a fix for the present. There's another front in this battle, quieter but arguably more powerful, making the machines less hungry in the first place. Chip makers are locked in an efficiency arms race. Each new generation of AI processors delivers dramatically more computation per watt than the last. NVIDIA, Google, and a wave of startups are designing silicon specifically to squeeze maximum intelligence out of minimum energy. On the software side, researchers are shrinking models through techniques like distillation and quantization, trimming the digital fat so a model can answer D's question with a fraction of the calculations. Some smaller models now run capably on a phone, no data center required. Data centers themselves are evolving too. Liquid cooling that slashes energy overhead, smart scheduling that shifts heavy workloads to hours when renewable power floods the grid, waste heat piped into district heating systems to warm nearby homes. History offers a hopeful precedent. Between 2010 and 2020, data center workloads exploded while total energy use stayed nearly flat, thanks to relentless efficiency gains. But history also offers a warning called Jevons paradox. When something gets cheaper and more efficient, we tend to use vastly more of it. Efficiency buys time. Whether it buys enough is the open question. So let's return to D, standing there with his hollow circle head and his simple smile, phone in hand, about to ask another question. Should he feel guilty? Not exactly. Should he feel informed? Absolutely. The honest picture is neither apocalypse nor utopia. Yes, AI's energy demands are enormous, growing fast, and straining grids in ways that are delaying climate progress in the short term. That's real, and it deserves scrutiny. But it's also true that this pressure is unleashing a torrent of investment into nuclear power, grid modernization, and radical efficiency. Infrastructure the world needed anyway. AI may end up both the problem and part of the solution, optimizing power grids, accelerating materials science, designing better batteries. The next 5 years will decide which force wins the race: demand or ingenuity. Watch 3 signals: how fast new clean capacity actually connects to the grid, whether efficiency gains keep outpacing model growth, and whether more regions follow Ireland in drawing hard lines. The age of intelligence, it turns out, will be won not just in labs and code, but in power plants, transmission towers, and the quiet hum of the grid. The machines are thinking. The question is whether we can keep the lights on while they do.